Before we get too deep into the math for this year, I just wanted to give you a basic review of what fractions are, because a lot of our curriculum this year depends on you understanding the basics of fractions. So here we go. The first definition of a fraction is that a fraction can be a smaller part of one thing. So if I show you this picture, most of you can recognize that this is the smaller part of one circle. This is a larger part of one circle. And this is 3/4 of one circle, but it's not one circle yet. And now I have one whole circle. 1/4 is a fraction of the circle. 2/4 is a fraction of this circle. 3/4 is a fraction of this circle. And 4/4 is one whole circle. A fraction can actually be a small part of one group. So if I show a circle like this, I say this small circle here is a fraction of the larger group. Do you think that's the full group? Or that's the full group? There we go. The full group has 6 pieces in it. So I could say 1 is a fraction of the group. And I could in fact say 2 blue circles is a fraction of the group. So there's lots of ways to think about fractions. Now let's talk about the different parts of fractions. The denominator is the number on the bottom. The denominator tells us how many things are in each group. In this case, with the squares, there are 10 things in this group. So I would write the denominator as 1/10. The numerator is the number that's on the top. The numerator tells how many things you're talking about within that group. So right now, there's one thing in this group that's different. There's one thing that's green. So I would say, what fraction of the group is green? And you would say 1/10. 1/10 of the group is green. Okay? So the numerator is the number on top. It tells how many things that you're talking about right now. Now the green has changed. Now I have 2/10 of the group is green. Now 3/10 of the group is green. Take a look at this next one. Is it still 3/10? Yes, it's still 3/10. No matter where I put those parts of the group, it's still 3/10. I could put them here and it's still 3/10. So the numerator can change, but so can the denominator. So let me ask you again. Look at this picture and count the blue squares. Is the green part still 3/10? In fact, yes. I could say in one group there's 10 things. In 2 groups there's 20 things. So in fact, if you look at this picture, the green parts is 3/10 of one group, but I have 1.5 groups here. You see how fractions get tricky? Because I can change what the denominator is and I can change what the numerator is. So what if I said green is not 3/10? Could the green part be 3/5? Yes, it could. If I look at the first row goes blue, green, green, blue, green. That first row, I could say that's one group. If I say the first row is one group, then 3/5 of that first group is green. Of the second group, it's all blue. So I would say 0/5 of the second group is green. And then the bottom one, same thing. 0/5 of the last row is green. Look at the top group. Is this still 3/10? Yes, it is. Let's look at the bottom. The bottom group says this is 3/10 from above plus 9/10 in the bottom group. So what is 3/10 but 9/10? 3/10 but 9/10 would be larger than one whole group. It would be larger than 10/10. In fact, it would be one whole group of green and 2 more tenths of another group. That's tricky, isn't it? So a fraction can be a part of one thing, but a fraction can also be a whole thing part of a group. In other words, a fraction is a part of a whole. The denominator tells how many are in the whole, and the numerator tells how many you're talking about, how many are different, or how many are shaded. But the most important thing to remember is that a fraction is division, which means every group or every division must be exactly equal to the whole thing. Every group must be equal. And I need you flexible in your thinking. So let's go through that one more time. A fraction is a part of a whole. A denominator tells how many are in the whole. The numerator tells me how much you're talking about right now. The most important thing to remember is that a fraction must be equal in all the groups. So how are all of these the same? All of the yellow parts are 1 out of 3. All of the red parts are 2 out of 3. And each group has 3 in it. See how the triangles, all the groups are the same size. Whether they're yellow or red, they're the same size. Look at the circle. Each part of the circle is the same size, whether it's red or yellow. So they're all the same because they all have, oh wait, what happened? Oh look. Are they all the same still? But I can't say it's 2 out of 3 anymore. I can't say it's 1 out of 3. Look at each yellow. Each yellow is now 2 out of 6. But they still can be written as 1/3. Or 2/6. We are about to embark on lots of things about fractions. We're going to be multiplying them, drawing them, dividing them. You're going to have to draw for me what is 2/3 of 7/8. We will get there, and I know that it's difficult. My best piece of advice is, when in doubt, draw it out, and that will help us all. So let's briefly go over that worksheet real quick. Number 1 says 1/3 is less than 3/5. And so you look over at 1/3, and then you look over at 3/5, and you can see that 1/3 is smaller, so you drew the inequality. Number 1 is done for you. Now let's look at number 2. Number 2 says 4/9 and then 1/4. So on 4/9, you have to visualize how much would that be. And then look over to 1/4 and visualize how many you would be shading in. In your head, compare those two and then draw the inequality sign. Under number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, you can either draw less than or greater than or an equal sign. Once you do all that, be sure to click Turn In and be sure to mark as done in Google Classroom.